Hey, what's going on? I was just doing some repair work on one of my Marx Warriors of the World figures, and I thought this would be a good time to shoot a video on these two guys. So, we're going to look at today two Marx Warriors of the World figures from the early 60s. Now, these figures were sold singly, and then they were also sold, from what I have read, in 3 packs, and they were released actually in I guess what you by today's standards, what you would call a wave. Uh, they were released in waves of 3, and 3 figures per. So like at one point, like say in 1962, they put out 3 U.S. Marines, 3 Roman gladiators, and 3 cowboys. It was like that. And I mean, they were really pretty random as far as like, well, not random, but uh, pretty wide spanning eras here in these Warriors of the World figures. So the first one we're going to look at is Eric the Red. Here he is on his card, and then here he is in person. When I got him, he didn't have that club in his hand. I mean, you can see it was broken off, and I super glued the end of a Playmobil drumstick. You might recognize that if you're familiar with the Playmobil line. So I just snipped the top of a drumstick off that happened to be laying in a little parts tray and put it on there, hoping that it might look somewhat like a mace, like a bonker, right? He's got a big bonker. And I haven't painted it yet because I wanted you guys to see it, to see how, to just show you how I sometimes have to repair, or I do repair. I don't have to, I choose to. So these figures are not rare. They're out there. But when one of them arrives to me, I'm willing to make a slight modification to the figure by fixing it. But one thing that I will never do, and that I do never do, is I never touch up the paint on these figures. So now I might paint the weapon that I replace and super glue onto the figure, but I will never paint these figures. So yeah, I've decided I like this at this point, this bonker looking thing. So I'm gonna paint it brown, and then I might go with black on the ball, or I might make it silver to make it look like a mace. I might try it out silver first and see how it looks. So this is our guy Eric the Red, right? Yeah, Eric the Red. So he stands about 2.25, 2.5 inches tall. All of these guys are maybe closer to 2.5 inches tall. I don't have my tape measure with me, but they're not small. These guys, they're it's about, it might even be 3 inches tall. This makes more sense. I need to to do this to double check and see. I just want to. If it only takes me a second. So let's give this a look and see where we end up. He's like about, oh, he's 2.75 inches tall. Eric the Red. All these figures were produced at the Marx Hong Kong factory and hand painted by artists there. This figure may have been in a single paper or card stock box with bright painting and coloring printed on the outside, or he may have been sold in a 3 pack in that same type of fashion in a box, in a window box. They were initially glued to pieces of paper. Each figure has a little card that has a photograph of the figure on it. A photograph of the figure on it. It's an artist's rendering of the figure, and this is a really nice one. It looks really cool. Then on the back, there's a really neat write up. Then the write ups, the characters themselves are fictitious, and these were written by the Marx creative team. Eric the Red, the father of Leif Eriksen, who by accident discovered America, was Eric the Red. Eric was an adventurer who had killed a man and was forced to leave his home in Iceland. He became the captain of one of the famous Viking longboats, ships with high prows and adorned with shields and the figures of animals. Eric was very brave. He pointed the prow of his ship westward and came upon Greenland. He resisted his son's introduction of Christianity. That is our guy, Eric the Red. So yeah, I mean, let me know in the comments if you think that I've done a monstrosity by adding this Playmobil drumstick as a bonker, but from a distance, I don't think it looks half bad, and I think it will look better with paint applied. You can see that like some of the, so this shield I think was some kind of gold. It's kind of rubbed off, maybe a little bit, but otherwise, this figure's in great shape, other than the weapon being broken off. So that's Eric the Red. Let's look at our next guy, who I've had to do more repair on as well, and that's I just did repair on him just now, and so I haven't finished it. So this is Leif Eriksen, the son of Eric the Red, another great figure. Now he arrived with his sword broken off, and the one ends of the hilt of the sword broken off. So I replaced the sword by slicing this little bit of, or cutting this little bit of packing material, and super gluing it, painting it silver. And then just now today, I used this same type of packing material to cut a piece to replace the hilt that's broken off, and it's actually just waiting. It's still drying, the super glue, because once it's dry, I will trim a tiny bit off the tip to make it match that one that's the true existing one, and then I will apply a tiny bit of gold paint to it. This is the super glue that I use, Bob Smith Industries Incorporated. I've been using it for a while, Instacure Plus. I like it. I mean, there's tons. This is just the one that I've been using for a while. This is the second or third or fourth bottle of this that I've used and ordered. I like it because it dries really quick. Typically what I'll do is I'll just take and put a tiny drop on a piece of paper, and then I will use whatever I'm going to be gluing. Like I will take that tiny piece that I just glued here recently and a bit of clamps, and I will grab it and I will dip it in super glue and just tap it to it, hold it for like 10 or 15 seconds and let go. And it works pretty darn good. Anyway, there's no need for an instructional on using super glue. This is a great figure. More fantastic paint work and really exciting sculpting from the crew in Hong Kong. They did a great job with these figures. They're really neat. They have this historical, like educational feel to them, even though they're fictional, I believe. Some of the characters' names are of real people, but pretty much from what I've read, these accounts on the back were just written by the people that worked at Marx. Leif Eriksen, there he is. He was the son of Eric the Red, who discovered Greenland. He was one of the bravest Vikings, but to his bravery was added skill. He grew up in Greenland but visited Norway in 999. There he was converted against his father's wishes to Christianity. On a return trip to Greenland to visit his father, high seas and strong winds sent him off course, but he discovered America. That's what the card says. I don't know if that's a true story or not. Really neat figure, isn't it? I mean, look at this, the paint. I really like the glossiness of the paint that they used. I think it's this paint is very, what would you say, tough, or I mean, there's very little chipping or anything on these figures that I have. or even fading. I mean, it's really held up quite well. They did a great job in Hong Kong in, I don't know, 1960 to probably about 1964 or 1966 are these figures that we looked at here today. I don't know the exact date, but those are the years that you would have seen these guys for sale at a toy store, a hobby shop, maybe even a grocery store or a dime store. They were kind of everywhere by the register, I think, sometimes. Cool figures, huh? All right. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed our look at the two Vikings that are in my collection here from the Marx Warriors of the World figure. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.